and toward a person who acquires a spiritual degree finds himself each time facing the unknown. He cannot imagine and cannot anticipate any subsequent state. It is a new vessel with a new desire. Even if you say this is similar to something I have already seen, it doesn't matter. That you were in a similar state on the previous degree does not help you now. You still don't know. All we acquire is the understanding of the order of degrees. This is how it needs to be. The understanding that this is the correct development, a measure of patience to remain in it, knowing that it's correct and that it's fine and positive, etc., and that no longer belongs to the animate nature, to the beastly nature. How impatient I am, and how I have no patience for anything. In spirituality, different laws operate. Okay, yes, according to what you said. What is joy in the work? Joy in the work is a result of agreement. Let's say agreement with what you're going through in your state, that you're now happy with what you examine and find that you have afterward. The joy comes from for, in Him or in the Creator. Our heart shall rejoice from what you will feel. The Creator receives from you, and from that you will rejoice. What? It's a feeling. We need to reach such a feeling, certainly. What does it mean? That He and I are together. Together means in mo and mind and heart, in thoughts and feelings, everything. Student, is this the state before the barrier? No, this isn't before the barrier. This is much after the barrier. But that is the goal. That everything the Creator has, the person will have as well. This is called being face to face in an eternal coupling. Now where you get joy from? How can I tell? Check what makes you happy. Certainly I check. There's this force of attraction. Joy, happiness is an outcome of filling in the vessels. It depends on which vessels you have. Accordingly you will feel joy. Usually our joy comes either from getting something good or from someone else getting something bad. Yes, not bad. Not that he feels bad, necessarily, but in comparison to me, right? When I feel that I'm more full than he is. So this is according to the rule that the sorrow of the many is half a comfort. If everyone's suffering, come on, Chalam. Hello, we are in a special lesson about integration. Dear friends, we PT 13, very happy to go through this preparation together with you. The topic is very special, very current. We're learning to incorporate with one another, and together we will try to bring joy to the Creator, to have the right intention. We'll hear very special excerpts and make an effort to bring joy to the Creator of the world. You lack nothing but to go out to a field that the Lord has blessed and collect all those flaccid organs that have drooped from your soul and join them into a single body. In that complete body, the Creator will instill His incessantly, and the fountain of intelligence and high streams of light will never be as a never-ending fountain. Again, you lack nothing but to go out to a field that the Lord has blessed and collect all those flaccid organs that have drooped from your soul and join them into a single body. In that complete body, the Creator will instill His incessantly, and the fountain of intelligence and high streams of light will be as a never-ending fountain. Except number 2, what to look for in the assembly of friends. Each one should try to bring to the society spirit of life and hopefulness, and infuse energy into the society. Thus, each of the friends will be able to tell himself, now I'm starting a clean slate in the work. In other words, before he came to the society, he was disappointed with the progress in the work of the Creator. Now the society has filled him with life and hopefulness. Thus through the society, he obtained the confidence and strength to overcome, because now he feels that he can achieve wholeness, and all his thoughts that he was facing a high mountain that could not be conquered, and that these were truly formidable obstructions. Now he feels they're nothing, and he received it all from the power of the society, because each and every one tried to instill spirit of encouragement and the presence of a new atmosphere in the society. There's a special power in the adhesion of friends, since the views and thoughts pass from one to the other through the adhesion between them. Each is incorporated with the powers of the other, and by that each one has the power of the whole society. Therefore, although each person is an individual, he has the power of the whole society. There is a special power in the adhesion of friends, since the views and thoughts pass from one to the other through the adhesion between them, each one is incorporated with the powers of the other, and by that each one has the power of the whole society. Therefore, although each person is an individual, he has the power of the whole society. The greatest wonder about this wisdom is the incorporation in it. All the elements of the vast reality are incorporated in it until they come into a single thing, the Almighty who contains them together. Again, the greatest wonder about this wisdom is it is the incorporation in it. All the elements of the vast reality are incorporated in it until they come into a single thing, the Almighty who contains them together. Silent workshop. What do we enter the lesson with as a 10N? What do we enter the lesson with as a? Dear friends, we are in a very, very special lesson today towards our regional congress. It shines from afar as something good we're moving towards, and we're already planning for preparing for. So the topic for this Shabbat is incorporation. It's going to be a very serious challenge in the next Congress, and that's what we want to prepare for, because it's such a special lesson. We have a lesson today that is essentially a long lesson of 2 hours with Rob, where he investigates incorporation in depth and width with many questions and many scrutinies, as well as workshops that Rob will give us during the lesson. So we're asking everyone to be focused, to be alert, to be ready so that we can dive together as one man in one heart, as one vessel into this very important and complex and fascinating topic of incorporation. So this is the topic of our lesson today. And at the end, in the last half an hour, we also discussed this together. So let's go into the lesson. Hello, we are in a special lesson about integration. We will read selected passages on a special lesson on topic of incorporation. We read selected excerpts from the writing of Kababist. Selected questions will be asked during the lesson. Again, lesson on incorporation. We're going to read excerpts from Kapis on the topic raw integration. It's a very special quality, very high, noble, is developed in the will to receive. After many corrections, we learn that after the shattering, there's a distance between us, between their desires that have grown apart from each other according to the equivalence of form or unequivalence of form, and they're in the spiritual space, meaning in a field, where each one according to the extent that he's the opposite of his friend, he is far from him. Later on, when we start working on connection coming closer, the correction we have to carry out, there are a few stages to this correction. First of all, coming closer to each other, so that the distance is less and less. We can sit together, and even though we suffer as a result of it, we can do it. And if we start feeling the rejection, it's good already, because we're starting to discover the true state, and upon that, we have to compose forces of connection as opposed to the forces that repel us, that reject us from each other, until we start touching each other, and in this touch we can feel greater resistance, like the nuts in the bag, and we understand how much this is not simple. Moreover, when we work on that, meaning that whole work is only in order to evoke the light that reforms, because we can't over our desires, each on his desire and everyone on our entire desire. We can't work on ourselves, because our essence, our whole being, is the will to receive, meaning instinctively being rejected one from the other. And when we work on coming closer until we come to be in contact with each other, as Rabish says, we start wearing the hearts together, rubbing the hearts together so that they'll warm up and you can enter the walls of the heart. Then we have, this is our subject. This is when we reach states in spirituality, when we're included in the qualities that each one has, each one acquires it, and then ultimately each one has to incorporate with the whole world until we reach the complete connection, when each one is completely incorporated in the others, and everyone becomes to be one. These states are called adhesion between us. To the extent that we do it between us, we start discovering the general force, which is above, that fulfills us, which is called the Creator. And so the incorporation is something very special. We go through in the correction of our will to receive, starting with not being able to come closer, maybe coming a bit closer, maybe even touching each other. But true incorporation is when I'm included with whatever the friend has, and he does it to me. And so just as you include yourself inside another, you go into the area of the other. You have the common area between us, and what's born is a result of this common area. Common ground is a result. It's like we learn about the all parts of nature have these things, and especially this is true for the bonds of a male and a female that mingle. And the primary work here is the work of the male. That's why we see in our world as well the spiritual work belongs mainly to the men. Women have much less work to do. It's sufficient for them to be delighted in mercy. For men, it's not enough. That's why to begin with these chromosomes, X and Y, they mingle, so that we can incorporate with everyone, and this preparation certainly exists spiritually as well. There are many things to say about it, but maybe we should just advance to our excerpts, and as out of them we can see, maybe, but again, even though I've pictured the incorporation as an advanced state in the correction of the vessels, which is in the meantime to rise above himself, to incorporate in his friend, to be a bit closer, and then to touch each, and until you start to really incorporate, meaning entering into each other, absorbing the friend's deficiencies in order to help him be fulfilled, as it is written, each should help his friend. It's not corporally, it's specifically spiritually, meaning that integration is truly an advanced state on the one hand. On the other hand, we should nevertheless start it in the beginning, because the final deed is in the preliminary thought. And even though we are advancing in the meantime only in just coming a bit closer to each other, every step is included in all the other steps, even though we're not aware of it. And that's why we should learn, even in our beginner state, we should learn what integration is. Selected passages about integration. First part from the Wisdom of Kabbalist Essence. The greatest wonder about this wisdom is the integration in it. All the elements of the vast reality are incorporated in it until they come into a single thing, the Almighty, and all of them together. When we engage in the science of this world, studying, researching, scrutinizing anything that we want to use to advance from the elementary particle, we learn the qualities, how to learn it, from the collective to the individual, and vice versa, the different ways of education, spiritual and corporeal, and so to incorporate yourself in that is essential. All the different wisdoms, the science is all a result of integration. When it doesn't matter, I'm learning something, I'm including myself in what I learn, I build inside me, I live, build the pattern of what I'm learning about, and so I'm included. The more patterns one gets from the outside, and to the extent that he can combine them together inside, to that extent he knows the world better, and he can work with it more. That's why he says the greatest wonder about this wisdom, meaning the wisdom of Kabbalah, is the integration in it. All the elements of the vast reality are incorporated in it until they come into a single thing, the Almighty, and all of them together, and specifically as a result of this coming closer, gathering, when each one is included in the others, we correct the shattering, the sin of the tree of knowledge, until we become one. Moreover, were it not for the integration, we couldn't attain the 620 times more than what we have to attain, because the entire shattering is when the pieces are separated, then they're mingled, and then they're integrated in each other even more and more as they correct themselves. Then each one is completely incorporated in the others fully. By that we attain the concept of one, which is the Creator. Maybe later we will read about it as well. Please, part number 2 from letter 17. Since the soul came down to clothe this filthy substance, it could no longer cleave to its root, to its own world as before it came to this world. Rather, it must increase its stature 620 times more than how it previously was in the root. This is the meaning of the entire perfection, the entire up, hence the name implying the number 620. Thus you see that the meaning of 620, names being 613 of the Torah and the 7, are in fact the 5 properties of the soul, meaning this is because the vessels of are from the above 620 mitzvot, and the lights of are the very light of the Torah in each and every mitzvah. It follows that the Torah and the soul are one. However, the Creator is the light of, clothed in the light of the Torah which is found above the 620 mitzvot. Understand that thoroughly, for this is the meaning of their words. The whole Torah is the names of the Creator. It means that the Creator is the whole, and the 620 names are parts and items. These items are according to the degrees and steps of the soul that does not acquire its light all at once, but slowly, one after the other. From all the above you find that the soul is destined to acquire all 620 names, its entire stature, which 620 more than it had before it came. Its stature appears in the 620 mitzvot, where the light of the Torah is clothed, and the Creator in the collective light of the Torah. Thus you see that the Torah, the Creator, and Israel are indeed one. And this is all attained only by the integration, because we cannot understand maybe in the meantime who was it, this, a structure, the will to receive, that was filled with the upper light, in the discernment of a soul, nothing more. He was small, meaning the vessels of reception are not activated. We call it uncircumcised, and he had no ability to know who he is, what he is. It's like a dream, we say a state of catnut, without any attainment. Who am I? What am I? Meaning, existence without awareness of himself, awareness of the situation of the Creator. The sin of the tree of knowledge is when he added the vessels of reception to himself. As the verse goes, he pulled his foreskin, and then when the vessels of reception joined, he shattered. He was shattered because he didn't have the musak to work with the vessels of reception in order to bestow, and that broke him. The vessels of bestowal were all also shattered because they incorporated with the vessels of reception together, each one with all of them. That's the result of the shattering. That's the good thing about it. If the nice thing about it, that now each and every detail has to be corrected, and by correcting each detail or each individual, he's correcting the incorporation in all the other details, meaning you can't even touch one grain of the will to receive the smallest thing unless you connect along with it. It's obvious. It's clear that's the way it has to be. You are correcting the entire integration and the entire creation. We're unaware of it, but actually this is what we're doing. This is why the rules we learn, the rules of the wisdom of everything is included of 10, the 10 out of 10 and 10 out of 10. And the creation is whole, and each part of the creation is whole, and it's you can't cut it into pieces. Rather, it only seems to us this way because that's how we perceive things in our limited perception. But the truth is it's all one whole integral world, and our brain can't understand it yet. And we don't. We also don't have the language to talk about this wholeness, but it's a whole different dimension of reality. So it turns out that now we have to keep the mitzvah of love thy friend as yourself. It's the great rule of the Torah, and this rule is applied if we observe the 620 desires, when each one is incorporated in all the other desires. And so we come to a state where we observe, meaning we correct the 620 desires to be in order to bestow by that these desires are revealed to us as incorporated in each other, and the light we get by all these desires is already not as it used to be prior to the shattering. It's already, and this general light is the Creator. That's how we attain everything. And again, all things are in the integration. They come from the integration. My first question is, how can we realize the integration practically in the 10, when the 10 is the whole unit, the complete unit? If I correct it, I need nothing else to correct it. Why? Because of the incorporation that exists in nature to begin with. So how do I? By correcting the 10. Correct by the incorporation, I correct the entire reality. We read part number 5 from the article 600,000 souls. It was said that there are 600,000 souls, and each soul divides into sparks. And we must understand, how is it possible for the spiritual to be divided? Because at first the only one soul was created, the soul of Adam. In my opinion, there is indeed only one soul in the world, as it is written, and breath into his nostrils the breath of life. The same exists in all the children of Israel, complete in each and every one as in Adam. Since the spiritual is indivisible and cannot be cut, which is rather trait of the corporeal things, it's saying that there are 600,000 souls, and sparks of souls appears as though it is divided by the force of the body of each person. In other words, first the body divides and completely denies him the radiance of the soul, and by the force of the Torah and the mitzvah, the body is cleansed, and to the extent of its cleansing the common soul shines upon him. For this reason 2 discernments were made in the corporeal body. In the first discernment, one feels one's soul as a unique organ, and does not understand that this is the whole of Israel. In the second discernment, the true light of the soul of Israel does not shine on him in all its illumination force, but only partially, by the measure that he has purified himself by returning to the collective. The sign for the body's complete correction is when one feels that one's soul exists in the whole of Israel, and each and every one of them, for which he's not feel himself as an individual, for one depends on the other at that time. He is complete, flawless, and the soul truly shines on him in its fullest power as it appeared in Adam, since the body is cleansed and it is entirely dedicated to Harvard, and does not pose any measures and screens, and is completely included in the whole of Israel. Questions. What we just learned. No questions. Yes, if we look at the evolution of matter from the Big Bang, so we see constantly integration in a greater and greater developing levels. It becomes more complicated if we take this still. So, elementary particles, molecules, and that's integration, I guess. Yes, of course. And then it comes to critical state. And then when a live cell was created, so inside there's also integration, but I guess in a different kind, a different level. It's a different level. Okay, a different level, so what's actually the difference between the still particles integrating? That as a result of their integration, they've acquired of an internal force of development of their own, meaning they have a connection with the light. Of course, the light does everything, even these elementary particles, the electrons, protons, etc., until they connect various materials. That's also by the light, where light keeps them together, nothing else. And here, by the entrance of the light into the still matter, the solid matter, starts getting special incorporation in all its parts, and this is called vegetative. What does that mean? When it has the incorporation of all these pieces, and along with the light together, that the matter itself can perform actions like the light to a certain extent. That's why it can advance, bring life, give birth, and die. But it's all incorporation of these parts, the atoms, and what the atoms are made from, and the extent of light that exists in these particles will determine the different connections between them. Later on the animate level, it's the same thing. It's only that the degree of light that works within these pieces, the particles, and gives these particles the forms of connection is higher. What does higher mean? The existence of light in these elementary particles calls for a deficiency in them in a higher form. They feel themselves connected by the light by a certain force, and they are attracted to this force, to the fulfillment, in other words, and then in order to attain that fulfillment, they must make have children, and this is later on we can talk about the Adam, the human level, that the light fulfills him in a higher degree. Then it's the same elementary particles, only they connect to more complex forms, and they require a new degree of connection with the light. This is what's happening in our times, where now humanity is shifting from the animate form to the speaking form, where it wants to resemble the Creator. These are the stages that we feel that should change us. But that's all done by the light. The light shakes the vessels. I remember you saying that the change, like in one living cell, the particles would annul and connect on the basis of their annulment for keeping this new degree, new whole thing that is created. That's called advancement in the path of being due time. When the light shines, compels them to nullify themselves, where each part has to nullify itself to connect to others, and then the light has to bring the deficiency when, as a result, when there's no choice that the different pieces connected to complete the deficiency or at least to cancel it. This is the meaning of the light pushing them to advance. 10 number 1 from Moscow is the 10 that's on duty today, and they're showing that they have a question. So Moscow, please, good morning, world Klee, or the 10 on duty. On one hand, by integration we reach perfection, meaning there's this feeling of the creator, as you said, that there's the degrees of. The other hand, in the integration, we integrate in each other's deficiencies. So how can these two states exist together, or they come one after the other? I didn't understand what to again. On one hand, by integrating we reach perfection. On the other hand, we get each other's deficiencies. Both these states exist together, or one after the other. They certainly exist together. They coexist. Even though I complete the deficiencies remain, and the fulfillment also remains. You can't have the light without the cal, or the K without the light, but specifically by the integration, when I acquire deficiencies of others, by that I come to something, I reach something. By that I finally start acquiring the deficiency, because my initial deficiency, what I have to begin with, when I'm not yet integrated, I have a deficiency of the animate level. When does it start to be the speaking level, the Adam? When he resembles the Creator. When you incorporate with others, which in this cannot be less than a 10. This is the matter that he writes, that you have to come to the seminary and the synagogue. You must have 10, not 9 nor 11. And if I'm incorporated in others, I acquire their deficiency and I work with this deficiency. Then the deficiency I've acquired, meaning not my deficiency, that's called Adam. When I return to the system of a normal, which is outside of me, that's where I fell from by the shattering. Therefore, he who is not incorporated in others, he is not Adam, he is still as a beast. As the verse goes, everyone is like a beast. That's why humanity is still in the degree of the animate. It's not putting them down or something, it just comes to show that they're not integrated. And we, as we engage in tenets, advancement towards the degree of Adam, we already have something that's not practically, but we have something of this matter. Only this way, when we want to be together and we try to rub on each other, only this way do we call for the light of reforms, because the deficiency starts being in us even though we don't want to be together, or maybe we do want to be together, that doesn't matter, and for or against, but we already awaken the light. We shake it this way, but if we don't touch each other, each one keeps the distance, then we have nothing to do with the light that reforms. It doesn't work. That's the big difference between the animate level and the speaking level. All right, okay. Well, yes, and I was thinking that only through offers and books you can advance in spirituality, and not by each one working on his ego, presenting his ego, not presenting the ego. Why? Because in the groups each one is talking out of his ego. I don't know what books are and right. That's what they tell me, that this is how I can advance spiritually. Advancing in spirituality is only possible by correcting my desire. That's my nature. Now what affects my desire is the light that reforms, which is called I've created the evil inclination. I've created the Torah as a spice, because the light in it reforms. Now the question is, how do I place the light that reforms in front of my egoistic desire, right, and my evil inclination? I've created the Torah as a spice. When do I discover the evil inclination? By connecting with my friend and discovering that. So how can I connect with him? Alright, so what's the problem? What you need is to try to connect to the friend, and along with that to learn something of the books that talk about connection, which are the books of Kabbalah specifically, and by that you're calling for the light that forms. Yes, what's the question? I don't know all the time, they tell me, and we study it all the time, that if I don't use the books and authors who went through the process, and I have to connect to that's true. But what are we reading now for? What did you now hear? What did we just read? I heard that we connect. We reread an excerpt by Balaam, 600,000 souls before that letter, and we have here. We have. What else? Excerpts from Light and Sun. Yes. Light and sun is the fruit of the land, which is men, right, ye have, and a collection of prayers you have from Zohar. What else do you want? Where should I bring it from? From Zohar. You have many excerpts here. the banner of the camp of witches, high and exalted. Well, come on. What else do you want? Yeah, you want the Talmud. It also talks about that, but they can't search there yet. They still have a problem. They're not ready for it, but we should try. It's very important. There are such things over there, even searching or something like that. Yes, so minister, your arguments are not valid. Yes. Group, do you have anything over there? Yes. Must go again. No. Yes, must go. Question by Denise Center. The feeling of what the Balaam writes, that he feels that his soul is in all of Israel. What is that? What do you? That one feels that his soul is in the whole of Israel. What is that sensation that Balaam writes about? How can you pass on a feeling to someone who has no feeling but the children of Israel? I think we talked about it yesterday that we have the nations of the world. That's called our human, who's not in his is only in his will to receive. Then when one comes to study Kabbalah, doesn't matter what race he is from, what color, what country, doesn't matter, just like people came to Abraham from all over. Then we have, which means this is a person who feels he's in his egoistic will to receive. Later on by the study, he feels he wants to be convert, and then he keeps on learning, and then he becomes a Jew from the word. He starts uniting with others, and as a result of that with the Creator. So these are the steps of evolution for each and every person in the world. What you feel in it, in the connection, you feel the force of unity, which is the Creator or nature or God, doesn't matter how you call it. It's the force of unity, or what incorporates. Well, let's advance in a more serious way. Please, what's next? Number 6 from the according to the literal meaning. Mingling, it means that every individual of Israel must be included in the collective. The individual has only what the collective has, since all of Israel are responsible for one another. Each individual is a part of the collective. No individual of Israel is separated in any aspect, both in elevating the level of the collective and in helping others, and also in reproaching one another, since Israel was not destroyed except for them not admonishing each other. Meaning it's not enough that I yearn to connect to others, won't do. I can't do it alone. I must. Only under this condition that we are 9 can we succeed, and when each one is incorporated in the 10, each one is incorporated in the 10, they come to be one, and by that they get the light. You can't have less than that, meaning the only way to reach incorporation is helping each other mutually. It's not enough for me to take a certain group and work on it if they're not incorporated and they're not doing the same work as I am. Rather, we must be mutually working, preparing, have the urge and the rejection as well, all the actions. The main thing is that it will be mutual truly. This is what's important about incorporation. There is no such a thing, one working and all the others are not responding. This one certain individual won't get anything if there won't be a response from the others, and that's a big problem. But there is no integration without, in short, in a 10, as he says, when you come to the synagogue, to the prayer house, they all have to be as one. Is this house of prayer you come to integrate, to connect together, and then you have to work together mutually. You can't have an integration when one goes into the other. It has to be mutual, one into the other and vice versa. All right. Well, excuse me, but we have this 10 is on duty and they have the right to get the microphone first. We really feel that this state of incorporation is a very high and special state. Besides, it's hard for us to really feel it, and we wanted to ask, what is so special about it, this thing called incorporation or integration, and how can we help one another as you now explain? How can I make my friends get closer to this thing? Example, awakening, acting, and how should I say pull them to that? Show an example acting. That's the main thing. All right, yes. I wanted to know what is the difference between the incorporation that we had on the level of the still with the Arabs and the incorporation that we want to achieve, which is on the level of Adam human. What difference is there when you want to eat or wanting to know something? This both are deficiency, but the kind of vessels that are activated, the fulfillment that fills up the vessels. So the type of integration is different. Either I want to integrate with someone in order to learn from him. On TV you always have the cooking shows where people cook. So either you look at a show like that or you hear a Kabbalah lesson. Both are integration. But you can't explain the type of fulfillment. It's according to the deficiency. So it's actually the same process. It's all according to one line on one line. Yes, of course we have a desire and a light, and that's the only thing that works in these two manners. There is nothing else in creation. And what do we as friends who study the wisdom of Kabbalah here and work in F10, what can we add so that, let's say, we can take it to a place which is not in but more hastening? That's a good question. We are want to determine our pace of advancement ourselves, or more correctly, we want to advance in a way that gives contentment to the Creator. Meaning I don't care if I get I bestow, I am empty or I'm full, what actions I do or don't do. What I want to is lock myself. This is an advanced state. I want to lock myself on the Creator, and with integration I can be with Him in the highest degree. He is entirely about giving contentment to me, and I'm entirely about giving contentment to Him, because the entire creation is to do good to the creature. So I want to reach a state where I do good to Him. That's the wave I want to work with Him. So be integrated with that thought of creation. Moscow again. Well, you took such a partner that. Well, Moscow. Yes, Lieutenant Duty selected us. So the question is, what are my efforts in incorporating to friends? What do I need to do concretely? Incorporating with friends is manifested when I learn simply. How can I be as one with a friend? Starting from the light to the heavy, and I start coming closer to him with my opinions, my views, my intentions, my desires, my goals. It's not that I completely cancel myself before him or annul myself before him as if I erase my desires, intentions and views. No, I accept above me as I restrict myself. I accept his views. What does that mean? It's as if I build an additional in me as a result from the friend, and then this way I'm incorporated in him or with him to the extent that I build, that I must have a response from him. I have to have participation with him. As we said before, you can't have one without the other, and this is why we need this mutuality to start with. This is how we learn it, meaning each one builds inside himself the image of the friend, and this is how each one is incorporated in others. But what am I incorporated with? It's not this simple intentions, desires, his habits. This is the way he tastes things. It's his inclination, his tendency towards the connection, and from the connection to the Creator. That's what I want to incorporate in. Then I discovered that except the point in the heart, I have nothing, and everything I acquire that has to be my spiritual, I acquire from these 9 friends, and I take it from the point of, and I have nothing else except nullify myself and acquiring their expressions, their tendencies, their qualities. And I'm hungry for that. Why? You can say, what's the matter this if you do that, you're going to get things that there's no need for, and who knows what. No, if I by my effort I want to absorb or perceive who the friend is, how much is he inclined toward the Creator. I want his longing for that. This is actually my soul is inside of me in the hearts of the friends. These are the first 9, the upper 9, as opposed to my mal, and the first 9 are the essence of the light of the Creator. When I can connect in them, I discover my connection with the Creator. This is called the lover, from the love of the Creator, and the first 9 to the love of the Creator where I'm in them. The incorporation is truly be something very, very special. It's a means that only for that the shuttering took place in order to enable us to be incorporated, because without that, it's impossible that the spiritual kli will form in us. Yes, hello Rob. You said that incorporation is a very special quality that develops in the will to receive after many corrections. The question is, it seems that integration is this more advanced state, and you said that there are corrections prior to that. We are before the incorporation. Now that we are doing the work, we're before the incorporation. We didn't yet start to truly touch one another. When we start touching, we start fighting. you're not in that yet. I can see. Yeah, he's sitting there embracing him. The other guy is that way. You're all comfortable. Incorporation starts from something like, with the students of Rabbi Shimon, the authors of the Zohar, they wanted to burn one another. So at least something. Yes, but actually this, how can I want to burn the friend up, and on the other hand I'm supposed to nullify to him as if there's a contradiction here. Yeah, there's work to do of course, but to begin with, on top of what will you work? In order to annul, there has to be the opposite desire. There, yes. Well, go ahead and ask, you want to ask all the time. So, and you're suffering. Good morning. And what level of integration in the 10? To what level should we reach to start working with the desires of the 99%? No, we're not talking about the 99. No, not at all. No, I'm telling everyone, don't ask about the 99. We're only talking about our friends in the 10. And between the 10s and no more. And also between the 10s. We need to think about how to ask. Yes, you said we have to touch each other. What does that mean, touching each other? To touch one another, it means that our friend is really disturbing you from living. That's how it is. Well, at least you feel that you want to tell him move away, you know, get away from me, leave me alone. People feel that already. Of course, or there are those who feel it by their nature. There are those that are not so. Well, you know, they don't quite like being with people. So, after the whole round we've been through, with all the 10, and we've really come to the last round, where integration really sums up all the corrections. So how do we come out of it? To a new road, to a new degree. And how? There's a question here. Should the 10 itself, meaning when we become one, can we incorporate all the greatest of generation here, the whole bunch of people here? First of all, we have to feel a deficiency in the incorporation, because you hear what Seeker said. I have these holy books. I have a deficiency. Thanks God the Creator gave that to me. I study according to the books, and it's enough. And, indeed, from several sources, it sounds like it's enough. Later on we learn that no, it's also written in many other places. Look at the kinds of sources that we have excerpts here about incorporation, that we need a society. We have to try to implement what it says until we get a deficiency. Actually, we need to again and again and again to move this machine until it will start working by itself, until the lighted reforms will influence us, such that I will always feel my 10, as this is the place where everything actually happens, and it's not that I'm with the books or I'm in some action. Even if I'm going to teach some group, for example teach campus or all kinds of things, I always have to feel that I'm inside the 10. That's actually everything. The fact that a person, let's say, goes out in the morning to make money, so he leaves his family, but he seemingly takes his family inside of himself. He knows that he has to bring money home so that they'll be able to, you know, buy food, etc. So nothing you can do about that. But this deficiency is in him. He is incorporated with his family, and this is how he goes to work. And that's what we have to be like with anything in life. We have to attribute it to the purpose of creation, which is the reason why we exist and we're in this world. And the implementation is in the tent. That's a must. This pattern, this mold, has to be in our head and in our heart. Most importantly, in the heart, of course. So, Moss, have a question again. I don't know what to do about you. Soon, I'm going to shut you down. We won't be able to keep moving with the verses. We have many sources here. Well, last question. We are people send us questions from with the 10 on duty. I understand you have many other friends from all over the world. I didn't let the groups from all over the world ask yet. What can I do about it? We need to somehow sort out these questions and ask only later maybe. Well, go ahead. Haris from Kiev is asking, should we first incorporate and then draw the light that reforms, or first draw the light that reforms so that will yield this incorporation? For beginners, the main thing is that they'll all be connected to one another. Our next topic, we've got helpful study. Tomorrow is the light that reforms. It's a topic that is truly the most important, because all the different forms in which we want to execute to implement can be done only by that lighted reforms called the Torah. So let's hope that then it will become more clear to us how we correctly close this whole circle. Deficiencies and corporation, all the work that we do all together with the light. Okay, good. Let's continue. Excerpt number 7 from Rav Kook. Whisper to me the secret of Haver. A man of Israel who wants to attain the light of life in truth must agree to plant himself in the assembly of Israel with all his heart and with all his senses and strength physically and spiritually, meaning one who is Israel, yes, here, straight towards the Creator that he wants to reach the goal so that we are all incorporated together. He has to agreed in the beginning at least that he says to plant himself in the assembly of Israel, meaning those people who want to assemble is to assemble, meaning that they all want to incorporate together. And how? With all of his senses and with his corporeal and spiritual forces in any way possible. And out of that, we come to connection. In such a form only can we reach the goal, meaning what are the spiritual degrees? The spiritual degrees is the very same connection in the 10 where we connect more and more and more and even more in all of the desires that are revealed as broken. Above them more and more we connect until we reach one over all of the desires. This is called the end of correction. Then we rise up through these 125 degrees and we until we get to the top of all of these degrees. All the desires are connected in everyone, and the general light called divinity or creator or the upper light is revealed. That's it all in all. So everything is realized in the 10 and everything is through it incorporation and through the lighted reforms. Next, from Ash, Volume 1 according to what is explained concerning love your friend as yourself. And what is the meaning of righteous? That is those who want to keep the rule love thy friend as thyself. Their sole intention is to exit self-love and assume a different nature of love of others. And although it is a mitzvah, it's a commandment that should be kept, and that one can force oneself to keep. Love is still something that is given to the heart, and the heart disagrees with it by nature. What then can one do to make love of others touch the heart? This is why we were given the 612 mitzvot. They have the power to induce a sensation in the heart. However, since it is against nature, that sensation is too small to have the ability to keep love a friend's factor, even though one has a need for it. Hence, now he must seek advice on how to actually implement it. Their advice for one to be able to increase his strength in the rule love thy friend is by love of friends. If everyone is nullified before his friend and mingles with him, they become one mass, where all the little parts that want the love of others unite in a collective force that consists of many parts. And when one has great strength, he can execute the love of others, and then he can come to the love of the Creator. Yes. Well, again also he talks about a corporation that without that we cannot reach the love of the Creator, because it becomes clarified according to the Kim that are included in one another. In general, the whole of spirituality, it's not a single desire or another one desire or another desire. Rather, it's about how much these desires are incorporated in one another. Accordingly, is that the power, the intensity of the spiritual kli, a single desire does not count, does not exist in spirituality, even too if one enters the other, that shared segment, that overlapping area in between them of one desire and the other desire, in that overlapping shirt area between the two of them. That's the spiritual kli, because from that they had to eno themselves even more, to the extent that they are incorporated, meaning they prefer to be in incorporation instead of each one having his own desires. Therefore in that area it is called love covers all crimes, that I'm included in the other one instead of being in myself. This is called love, and in such a way in that common area the upper force can appear, where revelation of the Creator. Well, if it's serious, yes, Nikolai from Ukraine says, you talked about friends trying to connect and then they start fighting with each other. Is this a place where you have to connect more with a friend? What place? When you said that negative emotions start arising. Yes, specifically there when we start having negative emotions, there we have to connect. There We have to work and not run away from it, but to work in order to connect. Yes, that's what he asked about. Yes, and in what way? Above all of the collisions. Not to correct these collisions. None of these collisions in our world seemingly. We forget about what happened before. That's it. Hello, everything is good. Now, no, this is a lie. And a moment later it will explode. So, we scrutinize the connection between us more and more through the connection between us. We scrutinize below it all of the disturbances, the obstructions, the contradictions between us, and we study one out of the other, and then by colliding with one another, we have the overt, the conflict, the coarseness, and in a connection above that we have the cashoot, the hardness of the masak. This is how we build ourselves from Peter. Friends asked you said to set an example, but if the friend doesn't respond to the example, does that mean the example is not right, or should we wait for the response you need to keep acting in all kinds of forms? The friend may appear to you this to be this way, but it's because it's respect to your corrupted Kim once your Kim are correct or corrected by you wanting to influence him to bestow upon him, then you will see that suddenly he becomes better or maybe worse. It depends on the way at you need to be. There's no friend here. What is here is a demonstration of your internality. Therefore, each one must understand that the fact that I'm going to connect with your friends, these are not friends. I'm going to attach to myself parts of my soul. It's not nice words. It's truly this way. And if I see that a friend suddenly becomes bad or he becomes good, it's not that he's bad or good. Rather, this is how I need to see him in order to correct myself. Anyone who disqualifies is disqualifying due to his own faults. David from Bucharest says, okay, so I set an example. I did all the actions, and I'm incorporated. So how do I keep that? What's the effort I should? You don't need to keep anything. You just have to keep going forward as if nothing happened before. Never try to keep anything. What for? Yes, Jogan from Germany is asking. Incorporation is something that comes from the 10, or is that my own action, and what should be the purpose and the result of incorporation? Corporal incorporation comes by me inhaling towards the other. Let's say, hey, mother towards the baby. She inhales naturally, but the spiritual inhalement can be only in a mutual manner. Therefore, we have to nevertheless awaken the hearts of the friends towards connection. All right. No, guys, I can't. We have so many materials. Well, we have the talent duty. He writes here that by great force you find love of others. What is this great force? The light that reforms. Please, we're in excerpt number 10 from the book, Light and Sun. The main purpose of the assembly is for all to be united as one, and that all the requests will be directed towards one goal, to reveal the Creator, to find the Creator. And in every 10, divinity lies, and certainly if there is more than 10, then certainly there is more revelation of divinity, and each and everyone should gather himself, come closer to his friend, and to enter him so he can hear something to in order to do the work of the Creator, and how to find the Creator, and he will annul before him, and seemingly his friends towards him, and so everyone will be that way. Necessarily when the assembly is with that intention, then certainly more than the calf wants to suckle, the cow wishes to feed. Necessarily the Creator brings himself closer to them, and he's with them, and necessarily all the salvations and all the blessings and all the good influences open up to them from the source of the mercy, and great mercy and good and revealed mercy are drawn upon the assembly of Israel. Yes, the main part of the assembly is the connection. We can't find many innovations in these verses, each according to his style. He scrutinizes from a different angle, but the main thing, as he says here, is to find the Creator. When can we say that we've come to the right integration? That in the integration of the qualities between us, integration of quality by my own qualities, I can't find anything. Only if I incorporate with 9 more in a 10, only by integrating the qualities, that becomes then either discover that the light works there, activated in them, and that's the meaning of revelation of the Creator to the Creator being. Who is the created being? It's not me. It's the integration of all the inclinations, the desires, our qualities, by which we've built, we've woven. Can you say that? We knitted, woven. We've woven. Yes, okay. All this special K. From the desires, passions, intentions, by disturbances and connecting it all together, and then we have the place to reveal the Creator, and it's always 10 no less. It's always, even if it's only. Next, moving on to passage number 18 from Psalm portion 18. It says, "Why have I come, and there is nobody there? How beloved are Israel by the Creator, that in everywhere that they dwell the Creator is among them, because he does not remove his love from them, as it is written, and let them make me a temple so that I may dwell among them. Let them make me a temple, any temple, because any synagogue in the world is called a temple. And I will dwell among them, because divinity comes first to the synagogue. Happy is a man who is among the first 10 at the synagogue, because by them is the congregation completed, which is not less than 10. They are the ones who are sanctified by the first, but there must be 10 in the synagogue at the same time, and not come bit by bit, so that the completion of the organs is not detained. For all 10 are as organs of a single body in which divinity dwells. For the Creator has made Adam men at once, and established for him all the organs at the same time. Once all of men's organs were completed, at that time each organ was properly established in itself. Likewise, since divinity came to the synagogue, first there must be 10 there together, and then it is completed, because there is no congregation of less than 10 who correspond to Malat Tet. As long as there are no 10 there together, none of them is completed. Afterwards, the whole congregation is corrected, as it is written, in the multitude of the people is the King's glory. Hence, the people who come after the first 10 are all the correction of the body, meaning the correction of the congregation. Since by the multitude of the people, the King's glory is increased. When the Shekinah comes first before the people came together in 10 as is proper, the Creator calls out, "Why have I come, and there is nobody there, and there is no man there," meaning whose organs have not been corrected, and the body called assembly or congregation is not complete. When the body is incomplete, there is no man there, namely, even the individual organs that have come already are incomplete. When the body is complete, below, when there are 10, the upper divinity comes and enters the body, and the lower one becomes exactly like the 10s above. And everyone must be careful not to speak about things of this world, since Israel is now in the state of the upper perfection and is sanctified by the upper Dutcher. Question: what does it mean that we need to see only a complete group including 10? And if you have a group that includes 10 working on itself, you can connect to it. The entire world doesn't matter, dozens, 10s or not 10s, billions, doesn't matter. What? You have to be a 10 in the beginning, and after that you can add to it whatever comes. Question: discuss it. Go ahead. It's a good question. I think that, first of all, there has to be something small that we can connect. The small parts, whole parts. And then, when everything is connected in a structure, then that can connect to additional things. Yeah, I've talked about it during the lesson. That 10 are incorporated in 10, and only then it's called one. Before that, it's not even a human being. He talked about it so much, it's really powerful. He said that when we become together, we become one person. I guess we need the initial connection, and then we can keep going. We need the initial connection in the tent, and then keep going. I remember that once I heard, well, as much as I remember, 10 is not the number 10. We are building a desire that is suitable to the Creator, like a spiritual pot perhaps, and then we are worthy of being a connecting organ between the Creator and all the created beings. This thing called a 10. To be flexible in your thoughts. What we all have to be able to include the different faces and different qualities. Not everybody thinks like me or behaves like me. Each one has their own qualities, their own form, and in the 10, we need to know that, and to take it into consideration. Each one has his needs, what's important for him, what bothers him less. But what's common between us is the path and the goal. And to keep this framework The rules of society, let's say, and by this is the common part between us. By this we have to make this thing called inclusion or incorporation. So the 10 has different forms, different states, but it's the common work for all of us. Yet the emphasis I've talked about is mutuality, that we have to do it together, mutually. So what is a 10? Everyone who's together in this mutual work every moment. If a person disconnects and at that moment is not in the 10, maybe is written on a paper somewhere, but he's not in the tent. We have to constantly incorporate together mutually. No one can do the work for another. We can do it for each other when we're all incorporated together, and then it's called a group and it becomes a healthy part in the general body. There are two parts to the question. You can't incorporate with the whole world directly because no one wants to work with you in the 10. We do want to work with each other. We do it, and that influences the whole world. I think that first, if we look at all the parts, there's always a spark called the tense field. It's very important because if we want to reach something, we have to get this information on how this is built, how this should be, how we need to work with it. The 10 is exactly the example of what the relation should be between us, the person's work, how to connect to one another, and this can only be done in the work between us in the tent. And the first 9, that's the incorporation. So 10 really is complete desire, and the first 9 are really the complete desire. We have to draw the light. The incorporation is a condition that we can draw this light, except number 10 from 12. Number 12. All of Israel are garant. This means that their lights and their livelihood are mixed with one another. And because of that, here we stand, all the people of Israel are mixed through the mitzvah, the commandment of love thy friend as thyself truly. As we learn now, we have no more than incorporation in the collection of the vessels, and different forms of incorporation can be called friendship, mutual guarantee, ball and annulment, and the integration itself, and all kinds of other things, testifies to the mutual connection. So, what does he say here? All of Israel are grant for one another. So what do you think? What is the difference between just connection and a root and hit and adhesion and love? All kinds of such forms of connection. That all in all we call them hit-in, cooperation or integration. What's the difference between them? Talk about it. Well, check what kinds of states we have to go through. We have to see ourselves in them. Please, I don't remember when was the first time, the first 10, maybe 15 years ago, 17 years ago, a long time. But we had a feeling that it's hard for me to be connected to everyone, to feel everyone. He would come to the hall with a few hundred friends. And now, how do I connect to this? And by building 10s out of us, it gave us the ability to kind of confine the sensitivity, the care I need to develop within me. So, in my opinion, the ability to develop care, sensitivity, understanding the work that I need to do with this or that person. So this work, that's the difference between the different levels. It's words that you have to put content in there. Incorporation, adhesion. I think what's unique in incorporating is that each one is trying to annul themselves and go into the other, into the togetherness. I've said that incorporation isn't in someone, it's between us. Adhesion, you can say the creator connection is general. There's all kinds of type of connection, but a loot is to really be in the in. Corporation is this exact stage to go from the state where everyone is with himself to us being together, building this common area between us through annulment and inclusion. Right, we need to feel the word incorporation. It's a word that we constantly encounter. Even in test there's incorporation. Incorporation with all kinds of states where we are told by capitalists that capitalists tell us about. And corporation is a person's approach. It's a connection to the internality of the friend who is next to you. There's common love. Also in love, you need mutuality. Well, it's not but it should be mutual. So that incorporation expresses this essence. Like said, that in that area, that in spirituality, there's not one desire. Also not two, but there's only the incorporation. That's where the creator is, meaning it truly expresses that common area. Yeah, I think there are stages on the Path to core to connection. There's a stage of incorporation, a stage of mutual responsibility, a stage of connection, and then we come to love the Creator. So I think there are stages on the path to adhesion. I wrote down that when I incorporate in the other, it's instead of being in me. That's called love. I would add that we're constantly in a choice. Do you incorporate in the 10 in the people that the Creator chose for you, or do you just run from it and stay with yourself with everything around you in life? And if you truly make a good choice. So this is where this stage starts of the incorporation. Connection. Without incorporating in a 10, you can't feel the meaning of all these words, right? All these concepts. The difference is only in our understanding that they're all spiritual concepts that we can reach. It's only a matter of feeling and effort. Maybe it's worth it for us to take a task and to write these terms down, to have some meetings around them. We have our physical meetings on Thursday, Friday. Maybe we should go term by term, discuss it, see whether we're connected to it. If we work with it, what each one's relation towards it is. When can I, when not? That if I can't implement it or understand some expression or degree, how can I ask the 10 to do it for me to take it for work? Is connected to us. Right? I think the difference between corporation and mutual responsibility is that in incorporation you create a new area that didn't exist before. Passage number 13 from Rabash 3. Here you all stand today. Here you all stand today. It shows that he gathered them to put them into the covenant. All of you means that everyone entered the of the neutral guarantee. So they ask, why does it start with plural form all of you and then singular form every man of Israel? What it means with all of you in plural form is that he entered every man of Israel, meaning that every man of Israel will be included with or comprised with all of you. As it says, and the people have encamped under the mount as one man in one heart, meaning until everyone's included together you stand here today. As it says, till then you don't get the reforming light in a way that it becomes the light of the Torah, the light that corrects our vessels, includes us and brings us to the revelation of the Creator, meaning there has to be the inclusion of everyone and everyone in order to bring everyone to a covenant. In terms of the inclusion, what does it mean to make a covenant? To reach the covenant? That's the question. What does the covenant and the inclusion between us mean? The covenant is what connects us, what allows us not to forget. The not to forget allows the friends not to forget the Creator who is between us. Not to forget the goal. That's their covenant. And here, when we don't forget it, this is why you have friends around you to constantly remind you, and with them you make the covenant. They remind you that there is the Creator, there is a goal, and where we are going. What direction? Yeah, you reminded us about the goal because we started incorporating not only the desires of the friends, we also have to incorporate in the yearning to the Creator, actually, to connection. That's what we have to take from one another. And the covenant is also in mutuality, that we commit to help each other. When there is incorporation, we make a covenant. If each one comes out of himself into the tent, that's the time to make the covenant. And what we can incorporate, we incorporate in, we don't incorporate in the corporeal qualities of their friends, but in the point in the heart. This initial desire for the connection to the Creator, and no one on their own. None of us have the forces to reach it. We just need to understand it has to be carved in us that it cannot be that one person can do anything in the direction of the Creator. We need to be there for each other, to not let anybody fall to the side. In this there's incorporation, but without it we can't. Yeah, what is the covenant? And then cooperation between us. It's like in the army, we need to feel dependence on each other. And it's a war against inclination. It's a constant war. A person alone cannot win against the evil inclination and reach the quality of bestow. So our incorporation is a covenant in order to reach the quality of bestow and to constantly hang on to the society and give them strength. I think the covenant is where we already understand the responsibility we have in this mutuality, where each one understands their influence on the 10 and the ones around. If I'm drilling a boat beneath me and my friend is saying, hey, you're drilling a hole. I don't say or let me go, it's undermine me, but I understand that I'm a part of a body, and this body, the 10, is also part of a bigger body. So this understanding isn't to just come, and each one signs a piece of paper, but the scrutinies that each one does and the responsibilities they want to take upon themselves and can realize. This inner commitment of person towards himself, that is the covenant he is signing with the 10. For example, we have Natty with us. He's connected with us with Alexa and my. We're all here, including those around the table. My rights. It is impossible to work in cooperation without mutual work between the friends. That's why the covenant necessitates keeping the friends between us in a constant state. When do we make a covenant? We make a covenant when we are in a good connection and we understand that we're all weak, each of us, and will fall from it. So we commit to keeping ourselves together. So the covenant comes from recognition of our weakness. Those who feel that they're strong don't need to make a covenant, will stay strong. No, only when people are experienced and know the nature of creation, and that there will always be a stronger desire that will tempt us to go in its direction, and something will happen for sure. So we need a covenant to keep each other in cooperation even when that strong desire comes. That's a covenant. So that we determine that degree of inclusion which we have achieved will remain between us. That's called the covenant. Now we learn that all these states, all these degrees, it's all included in the matter and the concept of the integration inclusion. Excerpt number 14. From collection of laws. It is impossible to keep, except through a vote in which each one becomes responsible for his friend, because the main principle for keeping the Torah, which is the matter of the will, is the unity. Therefore, all who desire to take upon themselves the burden of mitzvot must be joined together in the collective of Israel through a strong bond of unity, and certainly for this reason, at the time of the receiving of the Torah, they immediately become responsible for one for the other. For as soon as they desired to receive the Torah, they had to be joined together, connecting with each other as one in order to be joined in one desire, and thus each one was certainly responsible for his friend, but all were important as one, and precisely for that reason, that each one was responsible for his friend, which is the meaning of unity. Precisely by this they were able to fulfill the Torah, and without this it's impossible to keep the Torah, since the principle of love and unity is a matter of the will where each is pleased with his friend, and there is no difference in their will, and they're all included in one desire through which they're able to be included in the upper will, and this is the whole purpose of unity. And this is what it says in the collection of laws. If we want to understand how the Torah relates to all these things, then we see two things. There is there as if it speaks about corporeal actions, even though that we learned that there are no, that it's not about the corporeal actions, but it's about the desire of the heart. And the entire Torah, it speaks of all the mitzvah being the correction of the desires. They can only be corrected by the reforming light, and only by the connection of 10 who sit together, and at least to the level of Darf, which is going and growing and advancing, becoming integrated up to the point of love. Questions are feeling more and more that the first step towards the ennoulment is to raise the importance towards the friend. The first step is to sit 10 together first and foremost, like he says, can be more, can be less 10, and then what? That's the question. What is this inclusion? What's the next step? What are we working on once we've sat down already? The inclusion can happen only on condition that there is mutual goal. So we have to talk about the goal, and we have to make it great in our eyes, to the extent to which the goal's important, and it's really shining from afar. To that extent we are willing to yield towards it and start working on the inclusion, without the we can't attain the main goal. So again, the main thing, to the gist of the work, is to achieve the purpose of life, the meaning of life. How do we do that? The inclusion includes in it all the stages that we talked about. We talked a lot about these stages. It's devut, it's the covenant, where everyone's less than the others. All the laws that Abash wrote for us until we reach a state where in practice we start feeling how we're included in each other. And tomorrow we'll learn about the reforming light, how we have to aim everything at him all the time, because he's the one who makes the corrections. We only make the preparation for it. That half the shekel comes from us and the other half the shekel comes from him, and that's how we advance. What else can I say? It's all inside the group. Yeah. Good morning to all the friends and to you. Question about the Garden of Eden. So I understand that Eve represents the desire, the unsatisfactory desire, the desire for more. This resembles this isn't necessarily a bad thing if she would have reached it herself, going to the tree of knowledge and doing whatever she did with that work. I don't know, and I'm not interested in answering questions which don't directly have to do with the inclusion. I'm sorry. This is a bad example for others. It's good to learn from what you said as a bad example. We're asking only about the subject, and we make sure that everyone understands the subject and not what seems better for me. Let's get used to it. Can question, what does the ARV mean from the perspective of the inclusion? What kind of ARV do I call it? Don't look at me. It was my question. I'll even draw. We said that there is the one friend and the other friend, right? And there's something mutual between them. This friend has something mutual from that friend, and that friend has something mutual from this friend, meaning all this is something mutual that they have. So if I reach inclusion with the friend, I'm included with what? I'm included with his desires that are right here, right? Suppose this is me here, the red. So I come to the green, and I fill the green instead of myself. And I suppose he can't work with these desires, so I work with them. Right, that's called Arvut. And he also comes here, puts his desires aside, and with all that, he fulfills my desires that are here. And then we reach a state that I work with him, he's working with me in our mutual desire. And this is called Arvut. What kind of inclusion between us is that? Talk about. But actually, I have to become included of his desires, and be in his place in this role. And he has to be included with my desires, and instead of himself, and he has to be instead of me in this role. What does it give us, this kind of inclusion? What kind of a new discernment does it give us? It's a new claim. Specifically, if we're talking about the revelation of the Creator, then the Creator, he is revealed precisely here in this area. I instead of the friend instead of me, and that's how we are together. What kind of a Kli does it comprise? What kind of a comprised Kli has there to be in order to reveal the Creator? We can only reveal it with this sense, with this Kli. Go ahead. In this world, there are billions of desires. There has to be some common desire between us. That is where the Creator is revealed, and I think it's each one's necessity for the goal that we really want to incorporate first of all between us and then towards the Creator. I think that is exactly the common desire. Yeah, the Creator can be revealed only in this common area, because I try to fill these desires that are within me by incorporating with the friends who is actually the Creator, and that's how he works as well. So we work in this common area, and there the quality of bestow is revealed, which is actually the Creator. First of all, in this question brings us to a scrutiny of what are the friend's desires. What is the essence of the friend, what he wants? And this I can only see from my own state. So it's like I need you already have to search for, because what is that common part between us? What does he have? What do I have? What are our common desires? And from this, we already reach the incorporation. So it's clear we're not speaking about corporeal things, but wanting internal things to reveal the Creator and quality of be still. So this is the work this vessel called is that we see that only in the connection between us, only in the or incorporation between us we draw the light. Nobody can do it on his own. You can't even imagine this thing that I sit and I'm drawing light. We all need to do it. Nobody can do it on his own. And the goal is to just be responsible. That we'll all be in the same tendency, that we're together now before the Creator, drawing the light through the connection between us. In one of the previous questions, we talked about these levels of care and concern and sensitivity that we have to develop, how I expand my sensitivity to those around me and thereby create a vessel And that's the thing called mutual responsibility. It's the realization of this thing of that degree. It's the realization of the relationship between us and the realization of the commitment and the mutual concern and the realization of showing the friends that I care about them. It's the understanding that we have a common place. These two circles that drew, that's the place that you can't put your finger on, but it's between us. And it expresses the mutual concern from each one to each one. You can give that example of like a meal. We sit together, we eat together, and we have a mutual action between us. Because we do this action together, so, in that togetherness, since it's whole, so it's as if we are whole in that action, and he's there. Wherever there's wholeness, he is there. This is what we know. Oh, this is what we want for him to be between us. He gives us this feeling of wholeness, eternality, and that's it. I think that we want that everything we're doing is for one thing, that he will be between us. That's also his desire. So his desire and our desire are exactly our common desire. Everything starts from a common desire, and everything starts from the commitment, the obligation to reveal the Creator between us, that we won't let anybody fall. The internet can fall, but we're responsible that the friend doesn't fall. Yes, friends, we heard what depth there is in incorporation. We saw that there are many terms that require scrutiny. There is the mutual responsibility, there is connection, there is incorporation. Of open for us the incorporation mainly in the topic of incorporation in the 10. As we know, now we're going into a regional congress, and in the regional congress there will be friends who will be with their 10 congress friends who will travel to all kinds of other places because their 10 is not in the area. For example, people are going to all kinds of places, and for the most part it won't be the whole 10 going. So we want to scrutinize how we turn everything we heard now a lesson from 2016, which is always relevant. So now we want to prepare ourselves further incorporation to understand this term, this value with all our heart, as we heard it's very important. Incorporation is also mutuality. And the incorporation, it's not only that I'm incorporated with something, we have to do it together mutually. So how do we get ready? And our question is, what do we want to absorb from the other 10s, and what do we want to add to them, so that the Congress will be incorporation, not only gathering. It's clear that we won't be in every place as it's in, we'll be assigned to our area, to our region, but the point where we come from is the 10, and we do everything in the 10. So what do we want to absorb from the other 10s, and what do we want to add to them, so that the Congress will truly be incorporation and not only a gathering, an assembly 6 minutes. First of all, that's what we want to absorb from the friends, from the 10. Well, it's always the desire to reach the Creator, the yearning, the force of connection, the greatness of the 10s, the greatness. That's what we always want to absorb, and that's in all the friends. There are all these things, just to want to take some from them, and we can add a desire to connect. Same thing, to connect the yearning, the greatness of the friends. We want to absorb that too and add more. Congress. I'll be going to Tbilisi. It's not the first time. I've been to many congresses overseas and in different areas in Israel as well. And every time I come to such a group and there's a production there, and it's as if it's a big production of hundreds of friends who come every time. It inspires me. The powers in that group, the powers of the friends who are running the Congress is there to produce a regional Congress is not simple. You have to create content and all the logistics, and that shows their greatness, their responsibility, their concern. There are content groups there that build lineups to every time frame, time slot. So it takes a lot of strength, and I get a lot of strength from it, that you see the groups that the abilities they have, that they've grown and learned from the central NEO, and it also gives a feeling that we have in Israel and the concern for the world and the understanding that in the world, you have the greatest of the generation. When you come there, you see these things and you understand, realize how great they are, what capabilities they have. It reflects this reality for us. The person himself always gets inspired by new places. He's always in one place, so he doesn't really get inspiration. He needs to get something new. And when a person reaches that other place, So he gets inspired by the place, by the people there. That's exactly what I want to absorb from my friends there that are in that different place, that the environment, the different atmosphere they have there. And I want to take that atmosphere and to give it to my tin. That needs to get renewed also. And that's very important. And what else I want? It's, in this case, I'm also taking my own tent. Because the friends or what's in the tent, I also want to pour it into the friends that are there. I'm not one person. I'm a whole 10. And beyond me are my friends that are giving me an ability to incorporate with them. And the whole 10 can also incorporate. First of all, every Congress by definition is an incorporation. We come to the Congress for this, to incorporate with the greatness of the friends, to receive strength is with us. He writes, absorbing the deficiency for the goal from the tens, and to add to all the 10 or inspiration from the path. And I can add the moti that the fact that we're incorporating with all the friends in a Congress, but we are also with our tent. This is how the Congress has built. So our inspirations from the tens, from the friends in the Congress, I give that to my 10. And in that same opportunity, I take the inspiration of my 10 and give it back to the friends in the Congress. And I think it's a new degree. What's going to be there? Yeah, as a preparation, we can incorporate with all the friends now, because everyone we see many friends here on the screen. So that's already incorporation. Okay, friends. So we are going to an assembly of incorporation. That's our topic this Shabbat. How did say it? We are coming to the synagogue. What say? Synagogue. That we are coming to build a home of connection, of a gathering. He did this thing with his hand. It's the time for gathering, and we have to work on this mutually in the Congress. We're going to have a lot of places to gather around the world, and also now in every point there are a lot of gatherings, a lot of tents gathering and incorporating. So let's hear together a few friends what you were talking about. What do we want to absorb from the other friends, from the other tent during the local Congress, that it won't be just another gathering but a time for incorporation? Any friends from the world are here welcome to raise your hand or your question mark, to repeat it. We want to hear an impression from what we heard. How to make this a time for incorporation and not just a regular gathering. I think that now, Daddy, you said you gave a name to this event. Houses of assembly. Maybe that's also nice. That's it. You want to add, so yeah, hit. Okay, I'll say what came up here in the and the deficiency is what counts, because the deficiency is the fuel in spirituality. And once we have a strong deficiency to put on it, the intention is already the action. That's what we do. That's the act in spirituality. And then the answer to the prayer. The Creator will give the energy, the realization itself. That's the last stage. But we must bring the deficiency. That's the main part of our work. We were saying that we want to really incorporate in the friends in the 10 to get their impressions, to get examples, and to absorb deficiencies and their yearnings, the greatness they have, and to connect in such a way. I think in order not to make it more of the same, it's important we do something I think we haven't done in a long time, of sitting here randomly, at least in some of the times, so we can feel each other and absorb all the sparks of holiness that there are in each in the group. We also want that everything we get in the morning lessons and in the connection between us and the 10, all the happiness we feel, all the inspiration, it's felt that we want to pass it on to all of society, to be one vessel and then participate in everything, to be ready to be incorporated in everyone and in everything. First of all, I think incorporation in the 10 is required to begin the day with incorporation in the 10, so that the 10s within themselves will feel this inner fire, and from there during the rest of the day we can do what Mangal said, to disperse among everyone, so that everyone will bring what they've already obtained in their own hands to everyone. Yeah, we want to absorb the qualities of the desires and the other 10s. Every 10 has a special flavour, special colours and nuances of that desire. We want to be able to absorb that and at the same time open our heart so that other 10s will feel the special quality of desire that comes from art and our yearning for the Creator. Also, all these colours together create this beautiful picture of desire and yearning for the Creator. this beautiful point of incorporation. First of all, our Congress is like a university test where we are tested if we've been studying correctly, if we did the right work between us. Second, every Congress we get new air, we learn something new and we come into connection between the tens, which is something special for us to come into common work in the preparation and in our good relations between us to get to know new friends. So it's a lot of work and we really feel it if there is a desire in the 10 to continue this way in the common work. Thank you. To absorb the forces from the rest of the 10s and the seriousness they have in the method. We're also expecting to feel and give the importance that the Creator will help us in this Congress and the whole world. That's the prayer we want to give. Hello everyone. I wanted to say that if there is an opportunity to reveal the Creator, for this we simply need to incorporate. Let's just do it. Thank you. First of all, thank you. We were saying that in the 10, each 10 is like a body, and now is a stage to open ourselves and what the friends also said about sitting all together because all of us are brings the whole 10 with him. So we are here in a global congress and we can really feel how we are learning and in embracing all these experiences from different S together, and it's a wonderful feeling. You can really feel the spirits of coming together of this joy, and it's the best experience that we can have in togetherness. So as we just saw, there is a gathering in Lithuania, more than 100 friends they are already incorporating. So share with us Lithuania, dear friends, when every friend brings his effort for this incorporation to take place, and the incorporation happens. So this effort gives everything, and here all the wealth, the richness is revealed. The Creator wants to rejoice from all this abundance. Spirituality isn't in me, it's among the friends, and I can reach this feeling of unity. Where else could we feel it when we have all the conditions for it? Where all the desires of concern to one another come from everyone, that we all want to feel the Creator, and we are lucky that we all together want to feel the Creator, and each one gives his part. Each one gives his little particle, his little sesame. Each one feels the shoulder of the friend, feels the commitment, the concern of the friends. Many friends have gathered here, not only from the Baltic states, but from other countries. It's very different. It's very difficult to count everyone, but precisely in order for each one to be able to add his yearning for everyone's common heart, all of that effort that we try to convey each day to that common work of ours, to the work that the Creator gave us, and we must realize it. This is the best place when we come together, physically feel close to each other, so we can incorporate here. A friend just came back from the kitchen lammer where everyone's working together, men, and every effort of each one is really felt by everyone, and today even more friends are coming. There will be even more of us. We will feel even better with each other and incorporate more in each other, and allow the Creator to be revealed between us. We are practicing the incorporation. We want to absorb the environment for the whole world and be an environment for the whole world. Yeah, huge incorporation since this regional congress was declared. The pilot is this event in Lithuania and BIS, and the view are there, and we heard that many new friends came there. They got up for the morning lesson. We are really inspired by you, and we'll hear more from you, and in the noon lesson will also be about incorporation, and we'll incorporate with you guys in Lithuania. Hello friends. I want to give an update also about the advancements of the work here in the building, and also about the big congress that we're going to have in February 27, and about the sukkah that we're supposed to have in the building. So in general, we want, as part of all the work, we want to keep society also synced with the decisions made, and also that you'll be partners and understand the number of topics that together make us take our decisions. So now we have work in the centre, that there's work in all the ground level and all over the building. A central part of the work is for putting storage units. We're going to start making our kitchen better to be able to withstand our demands. Along with that, we're working in the mess hall area, the old gym, the storage unit that's next to it, to be able to finish the visitor centre in the next few weeks. We're also going to start working the small mess hall. So we're also going to have meals here upstairs, and also about the meals upstairs. Why is it happening? It's because of a need to not change our orders. Because what's clear to us is that we keep, not only just to keep feeding ourselves, but to be able to keep our spiritual framework, what we got from the cab throughout the years. So that's why we want to make efforts to keep our orders, even if sometimes it doesn't feel convenient, but we try. And all this amount of work, so we have to pay even more attention and take all the teams that need to invest efforts now in all the areas in parallel to see how they can concentrate on the work in order to succeed to get the most needed of us in this short amount of time. So on behalf of our schedule, we have to be able to finish everything till the end of the year. We don't want to drag this into 2027. It's clear that it's going to be very challenging to finish it till the end of the year. That's why we defined that purpose, that goal. So in parallel to the work we had now, whoever's here during the day can see that from 7:00 a.m. sometimes even before, till the late afternoon evening there's work all over the building, no stopping. So in order to be able to finish it in time, we have to let the contractors to give them place to work and let the teams work. We also have a continuous work for the contractors. We can't stop them because if we stop them, they take other jobs, and every stop causes additional expenses and delays. That's why we have to make it in order without stops that'll help us advance. So as a result about this, so we checked to see what we're lacking to build the seeker. Last time we built one, it was in 2019. We saw that we're missing a lot of materials to be able to build them. We're going to have to make them and then put them together. So from all this observation and to see the amount of work all these teams are going to have to do, so we're sorry to say that we won't build Sucre this year because the teams that need to be available to build it have to be very involved in bringing the ground level to the new state. So we will have everything we need in the next year. So that's it. I hope that the next year we'll be after everything on a new degree in the building and all the teams, and we'll be able to build the Sucre from all our heart. The last thing we took into account is that we also thought of maybe to have the February Congress in Ganitor in Tel Aviv. We checked on what that actually means in order to also take pressure and load off us to keep the schedule. So we checked how much it'll be to rent a place. Last time we had a Congress there was in 2020, and we saw that everything got 20 or 30% more expensive, also renting the area, also the equipment. We're going to have to rent the food. Everything got a lot more expensive. That if we would have chosen to do a Congress there, a ticket for every friend would be at least 12 or 300 sheik, and we're not willing that that'll happen. Also by checking with head of languages and the management, so they said that we're not able to pay that expensive price, and also the fact that we want to have the congresses here in our building beyond that the whole period of the holidays, if you look at it from the beginning from Shar till the end of Sukkot with the Yolite and the meals. So we're going to have 26 meals, and that's another big expense that is a serious expense to the families that we also wanted to take that into consideration because we don't want to put a financial burden on everybody, and we also understand that in the end of October we're going to have a local regional congress. The host of friends are going to choose to fly overseas, and that's another expense. So when we looked at all these topics together, we understood that the best thing would be to press on the gas on finishing all the work, and on the other hand to cancel the Sukkar and not have a congress at build ourselves towards our next degree and see how the February congress we're going to have here in the building we'll be able to make it much better, not only in the structure but also on the outside. We're going to check how to make more places that'll be able to be part of the congress, and that's it. We'll make the efforts to serve society and do as much as we can. Yes. Number 9 by there is a special power in adhesion of the friends, since the views and thoughts pass from one to the other through the adhesion between them. Each is incorporated with the power of the other, and by that each one has the power of the whole society. Therefore, although each person is an individual, he has the power of the whole society.